Okay, Ray. Ray Gould. This is a Board of Equalization for property owned by Ray Gould, parcel number RP02N38 East 014142. That's the mailing address. Property address is 4543 East 41st North. Ray, I think you've been to a Board of Equalization before.
Yes, I have.
You look
Last year.
Yeah.
In fact.
Okay. So you're familiar with the process, but I will refresh you so you know what your rights are.
Okay.
Every year, the assessor is required by Idaho Code to assess properties at current market value based on sales. I know the discussion easily goes to taxes. That's not what this hearing is about. It's to determine if the market value of the house is, if the house would legitimately sell for the price that they have it assessed for. Okay, we'll begin by having you come up with any evidence that you have to show that they have made an error in what they're asking or assessing the property. Then we'll have the assessor defend based on their information. We'll try to come to a conclusion based on that. We can only base it on what's given it to us today. If you disagree, you have the right to go to the state. There's a form that you'll be able to file an appeal. They convene here, process much like this. It'll be a trial de novo, so you'll be able to gather new evidence if you haven't got enough to convince us that their assessment is wrong. And so to begin with, we'll swear everybody in on this. So if you raise your right hands. Okay, in case you're involved in this. Do you swear that the evidence that you're going to present today is the truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay. Everybody answered in the affirmative. So go ahead, Ray, and tell us why you're...
Well, okay, to start with, it's went up $129,000 this year, as you can see. And I don't understand how we think that it's worth that much money. We settled on 300 and something last year, whatever it was. How does it go up that much? Now, I know they're building new houses all over the place, and I don't understand how you come and get to this number.
Okay, that's short and sweet. Do you have any? We'll give you a chance to give any other sales you have, but they can explain to you now the sales and comparables they use to get to that number. Okay.
In red is you.
I'm trying to figure out what we got here. Just a second. Take me a minute.
Okay.
These two look identical.
They are. That was my mistake.
The template that will generally go off, and it just looks like the image didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's out.
Or at least the images, the information's still there.
Okay, but the picture is wrong.
It's wrong, yes.
Okay, now do you have that summary? That's all. These pictures. Okay, go ahead.
So I have gone, your home is rather big, so it's 2,000 square feet. So I can compromise, or I need to do that. Okay. So I did the same comps in the same size as you. They all come in at 193.56, and you come in at 178.80, 88.
Oh, 88?
Yeah.
And that's because of the year build? Is that how you're doing this? Or
That's
what's
the size.
Beg your pardon?
It's per square foot,
Per square foot?
yes.
Okay, and what's the year build?
The year builds are, some of them are, most of them are older than yours.
Right.
And then there's one that is a little older than
A
yours.
little earlier? Okay.
A little older,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all.
Okay, I'm just asking the question.
Yep,
And the other question that I asked, and I think you're Angie, I don't know.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I
And,
talked to you on the phone.
yes,
I asked the question, I got an answer
yes.
that had absolutely nothing to do with our house, or with my house, but that's okay. The question I asked you was about how do we get to the 85 or 58,500 for the acre of ground that it sits on, that's added to the, I guess that's added to this price. I don't know, does that have all this breakdown in it? I don't see any breakdowns in here. Are these on an acre of ground? What are they all sitting on? What are we comparing, apples and oranges? I mean, I understand what you've done for square footage. Other than that, we have nothing to go on. Is that correct?
We have removed the land values, so we've included the land values for all of them, but yes, the comparables that she has here, they're not sitting on an acre of ground like yours. The value that your acre of ground sits on is again based on market sales, so that value of that land.
You're telling me that 1 acre of ground is selling for 58,000, bare ground, is selling for 58,000 an acre? I don't believe that.
And come more,
Pardon?
If you're buying
depends on where you're buying it.
tens of acres,
Doesn't make any difference how you're doing it. I mean, you proved to me that somebody's paying $58,000 for 1 acre of ground.
the market
Bare
will show
ground.
that for an acre of land that's buildable, it will sell for well over 58,000.
Can you show me that any place? Because I've got all kinds of things that says that half acre that I have up here is worth a whole lot more than what we're listing it at. Is that correct?
Sorry, I'm not understanding. I understand what you're saying. So the half acre is valued at 5,520.
That's right.
And the reason for that is that in our market, when we're looking at market sales, that first acre of land it's your home site acre essentially. So what the first acre would sell for, your back half acre is based on 11,500 per acre, which again is that cost for greater acreages. If we see land that, 10 acres that may sell, the market would show that it sells for roughly 11,500 an acre. So we've taken that 11,500, applied it to that half acre, and that's where we came up with the 5,520 for that half acre.
But this half acre, according to I guess this is still in, according to the zoning, you can't build on it.
Right? No, we're not valuing it as though it is.
Is that right?
It's valued as, again, it's a back acreage value.
So.
Your first acre is valued.
Pardon?
It is, it's an overage acreage value. So your first acre is valued as your home site value.
Yeah, I understand, okay, but this 5 times, or, all I'm saying is that if I was to sell this half acre, you're saying, according to this valuation, I should be able to get all kinds of money out of it.
$5,520.
$5,520, that's what I'm taxed at. You're saying that's market value for that half acre? Then how come my acre is worth 58?
So the challenge that we have is we don't notice that a 2 acre piece is gonna sell significantly more than an 1.5 acre piece, or 3/4 of an acre is gonna sell for significantly different than an 1.5 acres.
Right.
So the majority of that value is carried on your first acre. And ultimately, at 58,000, it's significantly lower than the actual market. We're actually placing $45,000 on your first acre, and we've also got a well and a septic cost added in
You're
there.
taking 45, what did it say, 58?
It's 45 for the land, the first acre itself,
Okay.
$6,000 for your septic, $7,500 for your well, and $5,520 for the pit.
Okay, now you're getting down to something I can understand.
Yeah.
These are just numbers, and I have to break it out to figure out where I'm at. But, we're not here to, maybe not to talk about it, I'm not sure, from the way you said, we're about valuation of what we think we can get for it. So if I was to sell this and I can't get this amount of money, I come down here and you write me a check for it for the rest of it?
If you sell it for more, you're gonna.
Well, that's, okay, I'm asking the question.
Ultimately, we're trying to arrive at market value based on what similar homes are sold for.
But,
They're barred by law from doing that.
well, I hear all this stuff
Yes.
about law, and I asked the last time we were in here, why, when we evaluate this stuff and we put in all these new housing additions and stuff, that's what's running our market. And I said, okay, why don't we put in a impact statement? Or a fee? Oh, we can't do that.
Well, it's hard in the county, the city just did that, and the unfortunate thing about that is it's gonna drive the value of homes up, because they look at what they actually sell for, and so all of those newer homes are gonna have to pay that, and that's gonna be a higher sale price.
But isn't the city in the county? I'm trying to figure out how this works, so bear with me, Roger. I'm not.
They'll pay county taxes too, but the city is a separate taxing district.
Right.
If you look at your taxes, we're under restrictions, so if the value overall in the county, that's not each individual, because I've had some properties that have gone up a lot more percentage-wise than we have this year. But I have farms, so my taxes will probably go down because that stayed flat. But the levy is shifting, the cost is shifting to the homeowners. That's the way the law is set up.
I understand.
So you're in District 93, right?
Right.
Okay, they're not under the same cap. So when you get this cumulative increase way up here, they keep their levy the same. And so your costs go way up. I think if you go back and look at the county versus schools, you're seeing that counties down here and schools are going up, but that's out of our control. That's the taxes.
Well, okay, we say that's out of our control, but we're the payers of the taxes. And when they set their levy, when they give you a budget, who approves the budget?
The school board, in case in the school, the commissioners, the county.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of you involved in that, right?
The bunch of us set budgets, we adopt budget.
Okay.
But then the levy takes our budget, we give it to the clerk, she looks at the value they put, and they calculate a levy to collect the amount we pass in our budget.
And the school board saying they're staying with the same levy.
Yeah.
And if they stay with the levy,
Ours is gonna be forced to go down because the legislature puts a restriction that says you can't collect more than X number of new dollars. So when the valuations cumulatively go above that, our levy goes down.
okay.
School districts, apparently they had a meeting about a month ago.
Right, May 11th, I think it was.
Said we're leaving the levy the same.
And they're saying they're leaving the levy the same.
But that's where you need to show up to the school board budget hearing.
Well, I didn't make this one.
Okay.
But that's okay. I had other things, but I'm concerned also that what's happening here is it's all for the school district, And there's other things to consider besides school districts. And I'm not sure that's happening. And I'm gonna figure out how to do something about it.
I'll give you a list of your legislators and you need.
I called some of them, and that's kinda like talking to the wind. So
Sounds like.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe there's some legislators in there, I don't know. Anyway, that's it.
Anyway, yeah, we are getting sidetracked, but you're learning about the budget process.
Okay, now one other question that I had the last time I was in here, this 3% increase. I understand that's a tax increase, is that correct?
Number of dollars we collect spread across whatever the valuations.
Okay, so
If your value goes up, our levy goes down to, I don't know the exact percentage, but our levy will go down to collect X number of percent, because it's it used to be 3% plus new construction.
plus what?
New construction.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But they've changed the law on that too, so generally, it'll be about 5-6% new money. And so the levy will draw down. If I need the clerk to collect $1,000 because we've set a $1,000 budget, and the valuations have gone up double, our levy would have to go down half and then back up about 3%. The school district would double if the school board takes that. Because the way theirs are for bonds, and if they were only to collect the amount of the payment of the bond, then that levy would go down over time. If they keep it the same, they put it in a fund like District 91 did, pay the bond off 90 years early. But that's a policy choice that they make.
Well, I'm sure that all of that is understandable.
But
To me, it's,
when you figure it out, I've been here 27 years and I don't totally.
I can't follow all the things I'm hearing and, you know, all this stuff that's going on. I'm not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people upset about it, and I'm not saying anything, but the difference that I see when you run a levy or something on for a school district or whatever, and we've got so many of them out there, that's all that's on there, school district levy. But that's fine, and we just keep building, so we know we're gonna get a bunch more of them. And then we run the levies up, or the valuations up, and oh boy, now we can really get a bunch of money. And that's exactly what's gonna happen to us.
And I personally argued for the legislature with those same restrictions on schools, but schools are something that none of them want to touch.
Well,
It's easy to beat up on us.
no, I understand, but the thing that gets me is we tear down schools that's 30 years old because they aren't any good and build new ones. Now, this is crap. We shouldn't be doing this.
Anyway.
How old is courthouse?
100 years.
Okay.
And we're refurbished.
Right.
So
And
different philosophy, but let's get back to what we
exactly.
need to.
And I'm saying, so how do we get control of that? So we can get some control. I don't think we're getting any control. I'm not sure where it's all coming from because when I talk to the people over there, that's just another.
Let's see, who are the legislators? You're in Iona.
Well, it was Nate last year.
Who was?
Pardon?
Oh, but you're.
Rich. Well, it depends on where the line is.
Yeah,
There's a portion of line through there.
Is this Wheeler?
Yeah, Josh Wheeler.
I called several of them, and then I haven't seen it since the redistricting thing.
Yeah, you've got Josh Wheeler, who lives, Wheeler, do you know Wheeler
Right.
Electric?
Yeah. And I think maybe he took over for Christensen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, let's come to the conclusion on the value.
I don't have a problem with the value, but I want to find, as long as I can control the levy someplace.
Well,
And I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
I know, and we have to vote on the problem we have or don't have with the value and can't tie it to
But, so when they figure their budget, they tell you what the levy is when you meet with them and everybody approves this?
They tell us the amount of the budget, and then the clerk is required to take that against the valuation in their taxing district and calculate a levy to collect.
Levy says it's 1.48.
Well, then the clerk is required to calculate what levy it is to collect the amount of money that they pass in the budget.
So it's all based on the total valuation and the amount of the levy. So that's what my tax is gonna be.
Correct.
Plus the police and the fire and the cemetery and all the rest of the stuff that's
Are
on
you
it.
inside the city?
No.
Iona?
No.
You're outside.
No, I'm outside.
So you don't, yeah, you'll have the fire district.
Well, I get police and all the stuff on there, they EMS and everything else, but whether you get it or not, that's, you're gonna get it, so.
Anyway, thoughts?
I make a motion
Okay.
to approve.
Second, I'll agree, sorry, Ray.
I
We have to do that,
I
yeah.
found out some stuff but
Yeah,
that 3% thing, I still don't understand where it comes in.
and they just changed it again when everybody was starting to understand it, or.
That's what I thought, just about time you get it understood, it's changed. That's what I'm finding out every place I go, and you can't, I mean,
Yeah,
I can't keep up with it, but I know one thing, and it's about to run me out of business. So,